Derek was 37 the first time he saw her. The sky was dull and overcast, hanging low over a local community event near the outskirts of town. Volunteers milled about, offering snacks to kids, snapping pictures meant for newsletters that rarely led to change. That's when Derek spotted her. A young girl, maybe 8. "Hi everyone, welcome to Echo Tales," perched quietly at the edge of the field. Her shirt hung loose, a faded pink, and her straight brown hair was tied in uneven pigtails. She didn't look like the others, paler, quieter, and far away, even though she sat right there. The rest of the children laughed and darted through the grass, but she stayed put, smiling faintly, fingers drumming silently on her knees. Derek watched her for a while. No one called her name. No one joined her. Yet there she was, still smiling. He couldn't ignore the pull. Something about her stillness felt louder than the noise around her. He walked over and sat nearby. "Hey there," he said softly. She looked up at him with eyes so bright they almost startled him. "Hi," she said, like he was an old friend. "What's your name?" he asked. "Laya," she said. "Nice to meet you, Laya. I'm Derek." They spoke for half an hour about cartoons, her love of bubblegum, and how triangles were her favorite shape. She showed him a small notebook filled with tree doodles. When snacks were announced, she dashed off, waving as she went. He smiled and watched her go, something shifting quietly inside him. She stayed in his thoughts for days. He asked around and learned her name again. Laya. The director said she'd been there all her life. She had Down syndrome, they explained, and most couples said no after a single meeting. They told him she's sweet, but she's got challenges. Derek listened. She's smart, but it takes time. Loving, but unpredictable. They warned him it wouldn't be easy, that it might even break his heart. 2 weeks later, he came back with the adoption paperwork. People told him he was being reckless. "You don't have kids. You work too much. She'll need more than good intentions, Derek." But he knew what it was like to grow up missing a parent. He couldn't walk away. Laya moved in on a gray Sunday morning. She wore the same shirt and hugged a pillow stitched with faded flowers. The car ride was mostly quiet, but every time he checked the mirror, she was smiling back at him. His place wasn't much. 2 small bedrooms, a couch that had seen better days, and a noisy old fridge. But now, it was hers too. He decorated her room with puppy posters and glow-in-the-dark stars, found used books and stacked them on her shelf. Every morning, he made her oatmeal. Every night he read her stories. When she struggled, with numbers, shoelaces, or words, he sat beside her without ever raising his voice. She called him D, clung to him when thunder rolled outside, and asked him to fix her hair before school. On tough days, when kids whispered or teased her for speaking differently, she would rush into his arms after school, her face close to tears. Derek would crouch down and look her in the eye. "You're one of a kind, baby girl," he'd whisper. "That means the world wasn't ready, but I was." And for a long time, that was all she needed. Slowly, Laya started to believe it. On the nights when he dozed off on the couch with work boots still on, he'd wake to a crayon drawing tucked under his hand, a shaky heart with "I love you, D" scribbled inside. He kept every one. Drawings, cards, notes, written with uneven lines. In his wallet, he carried a photo of her, grinning through missing teeth, holding a birthday cake with frosting on her nose. He skipped job offers when she had music shows, skipped shifts for doctor visits. She didn't sing much on stage, but when she did, even just a whisper, Derek clapped the loudest. Life wasn't easy, but it was theirs. built not with grand gestures, but small, everyday love. By the time Laia turned 12, she could cook eggs, read chapter books, and wrote comics about a cat superhero who saved bananas and cereal boxes. And when people asked him why he picked a girl no one else would, he always said, she didn't need fixing, she just needed someone to show up. And he meant it, because somewhere along the line, he realized something simple and deep. He hadn't just changed her story, she had rewritten his. Nearly 3 decades later, Derek's hair was more salt than pepper. His knees groaned when he stood, and he moved slower, but his eyes still held the same soft focus, that quiet way of seeing people. He was long retired from the sawmill. Most days, he spent his time. He spent his days tending a small garden, fixing neighbors' fences, and watching old detective shows, ones where he already knew who did it halfway through. But no matter what, he always listened for Laia's voice. She didn't live with him anymore. A few years back, she'd moved into a tiny studio in town. She said she needed to grow, to learn how to stand on her own. Derek had agreed, though it hadn't been easy. Still, she never missed Sunday dinners, always remembered his birthday, and never once stopped calling him D. What Derek didn't realize was that for the past year, Laia had been planning something big, something she kept entirely to herself. She'd gotten a job as an illustrator at a children's book publisher. Quietly, she sketched at all hours, before sunrise, after work, even on weekends. She saved every cent. No extra treats, no new clothes. Each joyful face she drew reminded her of herself and of him. She wasn't just saving for something. She was building a thank you, one picture at a time. One bright Saturday morning, she called him. "Dress nice, Dee," she told him, barely hiding her excitement. "I'm picking you up." He laughed. "What's this? Another art gallery tour?" "Nope," she said, grinning. "Just trust me." They drove beyond town, past tall grass and winding roads, fences leaning with age. The sun shone high, birds dancing in the wind. Finally, they turned into a long gravel driveway. At the end stood a beautiful 2-story home. White walls, pale blue shutters, a wide porch, and a rocking chair already waiting. Derek stared. "Whose place is this?" Laia parked, got out, and walked around to his side. She handed him an envelope, her fingers trembling slightly. He opened it with care. Inside was a deed, with his name right at the top. "I bought this for you," she said, already tearful. "You gave me everything when I had nothing. Now it's my turn." He was speechless. She smiled and continued. "I saved up, took extra shifts, skipped vacations. I wanted to give you a place that's warm in winter, where the stove works, where you can just be." She took his hand gently. "This is your home now, Dee. You gave me a future. I want to give you peace." Derek looked at her, overwhelmed. His voice cracked. "Baby girl, you didn't have to." She nodded. "I know, but I wanted to. You never made me feel broken. You told me I mattered, even when nobody else did. I carry that with me every day." Together, they stepped inside. The floors shined golden. In the living room was a recliner with a stitched pillow. Dee's throne. The mantel was lined with framed childhood drawings, love in every crayon line. The kitchen smelled like lemon and honey. On the table was a plate of warm cookies, fresh from the oven. "Did you do all this?" he asked, wiping away tears. "Every part?" she beamed. "Even the cookies? And don't worry, I followed the recipe this time." He laughed, then pulled her into a hug, his face buried in her shoulder. "You saved me, Laia," he whispered. "I thought I was rescuing you. But really, it was the other way around." She nodded into his chest. We rescued each other. That night, they sat together on the porch, wrapped in quiet. Fireflies flickered in the tall grass. Derek rocked slowly, a blanket over his knees. "You know," he said softly, "people thought I was crazy for taking you in." Laya smiled. "I remember. But look at us now." He paused. "You were never a burden. You were the best thing that ever happened to me." She reached for his hand. "And you saw me, really saw me, when no one else did. You were my home before I even knew what home meant." Silence settled between them, not empty, but full of years and love. Derek leaned back, gazing at the stars. "This house, it's beautiful." She turned to him and whispered, "You deserve beautiful things." And in that moment, Derek didn't feel old, or tired, or worn down. He felt loved. He felt home. He looked at her, glowing beneath the soft porch light. "I'm proud of you, Laya. And I'm proud of you, Dee." And there, beneath the open sky, the man who once gave everything to a girl no one else would choose, finally received what he never asked for, but always, always deserved. If you felt this story in your heart, don't forget to give it a like and subscribe for more heartfelt, powerful, and surprising stories. And tell us in the comments, where in the world are you watching from? We love hearing from each and every one of you. Until next time, stay kind, stay curious, and keep watching.